Okay, I showed you the end game, right? It's like once you have the websites up, we can remote control them, we can decrypt leads or do whatever. Let me show you the beginning of the game. So in the beginning, we would want to set up cPanel accounts. Like somebody bought 100 domain names, and we're going to put that in here and say, okay, using our 100 domain names, go create all the cPanel accounts. Okay, and then that's the kind of thing we can do, and we'll get those created in about 43 seconds for 100 websites onto the server or servers. Then we do installation, and we would go with, say, batch installation. What we're going to say is, I've got my templates and I want to cycle through them and upload through into these websites. And so we'll get that done. And then we turn around. I mean, we could do wildcards. We can do batch domain backups when we're done. But email and forwarder, right? We can create the emails that are on the website and then create the forwarders for where those emails should go. All together, from the time we bought the domain names and assigned them to servers in the back end, okay, we don't even need to wait for DNS resolution because we're actually doing the installation using the underlying data for the domain. So we could actually create the cPanels before we ever created the domain name in the system in batch, and not just create the cPanels. We can upload all the templates and have them functional, create all the SQL databases, connect them all, create all the emails and the forwarding before the DNS even resolves. Okay, so the total amount of time for that is around 45 minutes for 100 websites. And we're ready for images, we're ready for contents, logos. So that's that part. Literally 45 minutes, we can be half finished, basically, a third finished anyway, with 100 websites. So then we go to here. Here's where we want to take over an industry. So this is like the next step. I've got my 100 domain names, and probably I actually use this to create my 100 domain names. I'm going to put your ever so basic backstory in here. Okay, and this is just a first draft. It took me 2 minutes to type it, right? Our expert locksmiths can help you out of any jam or help you install a new security system or upgrade your security system. We can help you create levels of access based on keys, keypad codes, and other sensors or systems. We operate near you. We can be there fast, do the job for the right price, and get you on your way. We specialize in automotive, emergency, residential, and commercial jobs. Call us now. We can get someone out to you in minutes. Now, if I already have domain names, I'll put them in here. And if I don't, then I'm going to say, hey, generate them for me. And I would do 100 anyway, but let's just do like 10, 5, 10. And so I'm saying go. Okay. So, and that's just for the purpose of this demo, right? I might be doing it live. Now, GPT-4 writes slower than 3.5, so this will take a little longer than it used to. But what's it going to do first? It's going to read the backstory and generate 10 good-sounding domains. They seem to be good ideas. It doesn't know if they're taken or not, but I can check mark some that are taken and delete, and I can hit the button for some more. I can easily just create as many as I want. If I had to do 100 and I thought it might be off on some of those domain names, then I could have it do like 120, just in the first batch. So it's going to use a backstory to say, we think these are good domain names. Now what's it going to do? It's going to use the backstory to compare to the domain name to figure out what the central keyword for the domain name should really be. The most important central focus for each domain name. Locksmiths in this case is going to be something along those lines, but it's going to be based also on the angle that the domain name takes. Then what's it going to do? It's going to use the backstory compared to the keyword and decide what the main page title for the main page should be for each of those domain names. So it's going to create the opening title for each of those domain names, 10 or 100, however many, right? And that gives me the first step of 3 finished. So now I download that file as an Excel file and I get my rows. And this way I can make any adjustments I want inside the file. Then I go to the next step and I import my file. But another thing about my file is I say how many pages I want. Do I want 3 relevant pages, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20, 100 per website? I can choose. So I just decide. Now, obviously, we can do this in batches. We can come back later, create more pages. Then we don't need to start all the way at the beginning. We already have our domain names. We'll just start further into the process. But the point is, I can go ahead and generate the contents I need for all those pages. And it's going to do that. It's going to create the materials necessary to write the pages with, the subsections of the pages for each of those inner pages. That's what it's going to do. And so now I can download that file, right? Make sure I like it. Make sure everything's lined up right. And then I go to part 3. And part 3 is where I say, give me relevant keywords, domain by domain, based on the backstory, that I can cycle through on the main page so that I can create all the materials I need on that TOS, that theme option settings. That way I can fill in all those really cool things for those theme option settings. Okay, so it gave me these domain names: locksmithexpressnearby.com, accesscontrolgurus.com, fastkeyrescue.com, 24hourlocksmithheroes.com, speedysecuritysystems.com, elitelocksandkeys.com, quicklockassist.com, secureaccessmasters.com. Okay, that's great. rapidlocksmithpros.com, expertkeysolutions.com. You get it. And I can check mark something if I really don't want it, and I can delete it. You know, I don't want that, and I don't want that, say, boom. Anyway, now in each case, it's giving me a very useful keyword that relates to the idea of the domain. Locksmith Express Nearby. Emergency locksmith services make sense. We're after the express idea. Smart access control for access control gurus. Okay. Emergency locksmith for fast key rescue. These keywords don't mean the most popular keyword on Google. It means the focal point of each domain should be this. Based on our background, if we're going to go with this domain, this should be the idea, right? Now, from that, it's going to extrapolate the pieces that we want, the tagline. Like, what should the front page be all about? And it breaks it down, but it also gives me sections for the inner parts. All right, so anyway, this is where I can export these and then dolly it up and then bring it into the next step, okay? And on the next step, I would import them, okay, and have it create all the main titles, article titles, and also short titles means page menus. I'm going to have it create all the page menu links based on every single topic it does, so that the page menu link, the name, will always match the article we're pointing to. Okay, we don't have to think this stuff up, and we don't have to just use the same 4 links every single time on all the websites. We can be nicely specific, but in a very cool way that's the kind of thing people will stumble across in their Google searches. And then anyway, we can generate the backstories now, and that means we're going to generate a version of that backstory. Did I lose it or not? Let me see. Of course. Oh, no, I didn't. This right here, if I want to write about this stuff here, okay, this should be altered to focus on this. So we're going to write a new version of this thing to focus on this. Then we're going to do it for the next one, the next one, the next one. We're going to do it all the way down, right? Through our 100 websites. So now, when we go to write about these topics, the system won't just use the generic catch-all backstory, because we don't want all of our pages to feel like they're written the same way. We want the pages to focus on the taglines. And we did that. Here is where this gets incredibly interesting. I want to point this out. Airsoftforsports.com. No, it's not Airsoft. It's Anti-Fog. Sorry. Why do I keep misspelling? No, fog. There we go. Okay. So, all right. And they need to fix this. Before, it rose with fewer words, but now we need to make sure the action's on the other side or that kind of a thing. Actually, this makes sense. What am I talking about? And then the next image has been dealt with because that makes sense, generally speaking. Then the next image. But anyway, here's the point. If we read the topics, we're talking about increased performance. Oh, sounds like sports. Eye safety, could be. Clear vision on the move, could be about sports. Rechargeable lightweight design, could be about sports. Anti-fog sports eyewear. Okay, so the pages are going to treat the topic from the point of view of whatever it is. And in this case, it's sports. It's talking constantly about sports. Control F. Sports is used 18 times on the page. Okay? Now, what about this though? Anti-fog. Dang. Medical.com. This is so interesting. We're talking about safety and efficiency, portable, reliable solution, sure, enhanced vision environments like jungles and deserts and stuff, rechargeable battery pack, sure. But MERV filter, see this MERV 13 air filtration? We didn't need that for sports, but we sure need it as a doctor. So this is talking about what? With the current global health crisis, the use of PPE, personal protective equipment, is more vital than ever to protect frontline healthcare professionals, right? It's talking about MERV 13 filters. It's talking about where you can buy the thing. This is where we hyperlink the links in the paragraphs now and the phone numbers. It talks about where it's going to get into the exact specs. MERV scale ranges from 1 to 16. Higher number indicates higher level of filtration. It starts talking about like how many micro, micro centimeters, I guess, and stuff. It can protect you up to, things like that. I've seen that on some of the pages. Maybe it wasn't this page. But here's the obvious point. It is writing exactly about this topic here, only because the backstory is adjusted for the topic for this domain name. See the cool value of that? It penetrates to the core of the reader. It reaches exactly to where they need to read it. It's not generic, right? So that's the point, is when we create, it comes out great. Whether we're talking about Locksmith Express, or we're talking about Fast Key Rescue, whether we're talking about speedy security systems, elite locks and keys, secure access masters, key solutions, rapid locksmith pros. And so it's going to wind up writing every page based on a variation of the backstory that fits the topic of the page. Okay, I've said enough to make the point, right? This is how all of our pages are written. That's why they're so exactly good and specific. Let me see if I do the rechargeable battery pack was clearly on both projects, right? What's it going to talk about? I don't know. Yeah, in the fast-paced environment of a healthcare setting where every second counts and lives depend on quick decisions, the last thing medical professional needs is fogged up eyewear. Okay? Totally not the same discussion that we were having on the sports website, huh? So there you go. We want to group everyone together, but they're individual, and we want to try to group all of their different interests into one spot, but they're not the same interests. So instead, if you write for what the people really want, Google sees that the people read this. It's interesting. If you were somebody to be in the market for this, you're reading it. And then you're deciding if you want to call them or go to the store. The stuff is pointed out on the page, it'll be hyperlinked. And of course, we'll get images into the pages anyway. That's another thing we're building in a VI, is inner page images, okay, which we can auto do. Upload 8,800 and you spread them across 110 websites in minutes, that kind of thing. We can fill out these inner pages with awesome images, small, medium, and large, aligned to the left, aligned to the right, or between paragraphs. We already built all the functionality, so we're just incorporating it. Yeah, so anyway, I think you get the point, right? We can make these websites so incredible that they can exactly tailor. If you were to make a bunch of websites and have them relate to one city, then you're canvassing all the different demographics within that city that have to do with what you're offering. And that goes for residential, commercial, emergency. You don't need to stuff them all into one website either. If your website treats each topic independently, then have the residential locksmith site be different than the emergency locksmith site, be different than the commercial locksmith site. Why? Because we can create tons of pages for each of those sites, make them authorities on their topics. And because they're narrow on their topic, they tend to rise simply on their topics because Google considers them an authority on that topic. They don't go wide and therefore fall. They go narrow and therefore climb as long as the content is good, which we get to ensure. So that's insane. But we can automatically do that industry by industry, location by location. Yeah, that's how crazy.